The collapse of a bridge here in Philadelphia may be far from wherever you live in this country. But as history shows, when one piece of critical highway infrastructure goes down in this country, it has economic ripple effects far and wide. Not a car or a truck or tractor trailer for that matter in sight. The only place you will find traffic moving around this stretch of I-95 in Philadelphia right now is along back roads and side streets after a tanker truck fire caused this section of highway to give.
What's the trickle-down effect of that one bridge, one piece of highway being out of commission now?
Gosh, I think that we're seeing what already was a scar through our city, the effects of that even being spread further.
When Connor DeShoemaker first heard about the collapse, their first thought was about the impact to public transit. Connor is with Transit Forward Philadelphia.
If we're going to be giving all these emergency dollars to get a freeway back and running, imagine what we could do with that for transit.
I knew that we had to get word out immediately to the trucking community about this.
As the president of the Pennsylvania Motor Truck Association, Rebecca Euler's first thoughts were about American goods.
When you have a disruption like this that shuts down the highway, there definitely will be impact on the supply chain, both locally and nationally.
An estimated 150,000 vehicles use this section of I-95 every day. 8% of them are trucks carrying products to all corners of the U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg warned last week this disruption could drive up the cost of some goods.
Part of what goes into the cost of everything that we pay for at the store is the cost of shipping.
But just how far-reaching can the effects of one bridge collapse be? I turn to Karen Donahue for answers.
So I think if you talk to most Minnesotans that were around in 2007, they probably can recall where they were at the time that the bridge collapsed.
She is a professor at the University of Minnesota. Donahue was just a few blocks away when the I-35W bridge in Minneapolis collapsed in 2007. The NTSB says a design flaw caused that deadly collapse. It was closed for almost 2 years.
For us, it was the first time where we sort of thought, wow, something like this can happen.
Years after the I-35W disaster, the Minnesota Department of Transportation released a study. In 2007, the state lost about $17 million because the highway was closed. In 2008, the state's economy took a $43 million hit, losing an estimated $400,000 a day. More than 140,000 vehicles cross that bridge daily. And in Washington state, when the Skagit River Bridge collapsed, state officials said the closure of that highway cost $47 million in lost economic output. The impacts of both events lasted for years.
This ripple effect can influence an area for not just the time until it takes to rebuild the infrastructure, but even afterwards, as folks have figured out other routes, they've figured out other places to shop.
Back in Philly, it's too early to tell just how much this collapse will cost the economy. But history, freight experts say, is part of the reason why officials here are so eager to get this bridge back open. Chris Conti, Scripps News, Philadelphia.